Just the acting director of national intelligence. He is only supposed to be temporary, according to President Trump. But Bill Pulte is already gutting ODNI staff following the president's orders and flooding concerns from inside the GOP, which has prompted this spicy condemnation from Republican Senator, who else? Thom Tillis.
My guess is, based on his past experience, it's just going to be another hot, steamy pile of Doge shit.
I was not expecting that. Whew. Joining us, MS Now senior national security reporter David Rowe. Jake Sherman still with us. Jake, I'm going to miss Tillis when he leaves office.
I have a feeling you might be able to get him on your air, Katie. If the moment ends, then you won't be able to get it on his air. But no, listen.
The moment ends, I got it.
You got it. Good. I mean, listen. I don't know what you want me to say about that, but I'll talk about Bill Pulte here. I mean,
yes,
I think Pulte, listen, Trump wants him to just fire a bunch of people, right? He wants him to do dirty work that no confirmed, serious DNI would do. I mean, this is not somebody who has any grip of the intelligence community. Just remember what DNI does, what ODNI does. ODNI is in charge of 18 intelligence agencies. That's a lot. This is created in the post 9/11 era to make sure there was streamlined communication and operations between all of the intelligence community, Katie. This is not this is not some appointment where you sit on a board and go to a meeting once every 6 weeks. This is a serious, serious job. But this is caught up in a web of Trump problems because they won't have a hearing for Jay Clayton because they can't get Jay Clayton's successor approved for the Southern District of New York. They want SAVE Act attached to FISA. They won't pass FISA with Bill Pulte in office. So, I mean, the web of nonsense that that Republicans have to wade through now to get a normal director of national intelligence is daunting.
Well, I mean, this is why I ask more broadly about the Republican Party in Congress right now, why they don't just band together and push back. I mean, there is strength in numbers when it comes to Donald Trump, and they've refused to do so for 10 years, even though a lot of them have said privately that they're uncomfortable or unhappy or worried or frightened about all manner of Donald Trump's decisions. It's shocking.
Well, they are. Listen, they've stood against. I agree with you, generally speaking, but they've stood against him for blowing up the filibuster. They stood against him on the SAVE Act. Those would be two major things. I mean, there are other things that they don't. There are still people, Katie, who want to be in his good graces and who see it as politically advantageous to be in his good graces. Maybe they want to be in the administration. Maybe they actually agree with him. Maybe they think, I don't know what their motivations will be, but there are more Republicans standing up against him than ever before. That is just factual, right? I mean, in the Senate, at least, there are more Republicans standing up against him than ever before.
Let me play Jim Himes talking about the worries he has about Bill Pulte.
You have somebody with precisely zero experience, a Nepo baby who may not have known a month ago what DNI stood for, march in and say, I'm firing you and you and you. This is not a partisan thing. This is Congress being up in arms over an appointment that is dangerous, flat out dangerous, especially since shortly thereafter, the president said he would nominate Jay Clayton. Now, Jay Clayton is a guy I've known for decades, and in the context of a Trump presidential appointment, Jay Clayton is a substantial improvement over Tulsi Gabbard and is on the opposite end of the spectrum from Bill Pulte.
So do we have an idea of who Bill Pulte has been firing?
We don't. I mean, the White House confirmed to Jake Traylor, our colleague, that they have begun these mass firings, but we don't know who it is. Our former colleagues at NBC News have reported that it might be the National Counterterrorism Center. But why, of all places, the National Counterterrorism Center? And another thing to point out is that under Tulsi Gabbard, she fired 500 people. She reduced the size of ODNI by 30% already. So what's so strange, and Representative Himes was sort of talking about this, you have a guy walking into a very specialized, organization, as Jake said, and they start firing people. He doesn't even know who these people are. He's never met them. And so, and then, I think it's all a cover to keep Pulte there to somehow interfere in the election.
Well, I mean, I wonder if it's like the Doge strategy, just wipe everyone out willy-nilly. That's one part of me that wonders that. The other part of me wonders a little bit more along the lines of what you're worried about. If they're getting rid of counterterrorism, are they getting rid of people who might stand in their way if they try to declare that there was foreign interference in an election?
I don't know. It's very strange that the president is investing so much capital in Bill Pulte, who's from a family that made its money building houses, and he knows he's run a federal mortgage agency. So I don't think he's the only person that could go in. And I think the fact that the president keeps pushing on the SAVE Act also, it all pushes towards that, but we just don't know.
Do you see any links there? Or do folks on the Hill see any links there? Not Democrats, Jake, but any Republicans whispering about this?
About the idea of interfering in the election and whether Pulte is a predicate to that? Not really. No, the answer is no. But remember, Gabbard got herself involved in a lot of what they said was election security. Remember, she went to Georgia. She did all sorts of things. There's no shortage of things in the intelligence community that need attention. And let me just mention one other thing. You talked about, it is true that Gabbard fired a lot of people. It is true that Pulte has a charge of downsizing. There is a policy discussion that a lot of people want to have about a serious policy discussion that serious people want to have about how effective ODNI is and whether it should be reformed and whether it has outlived its usefulness or should be overhauled to better fit the threats that we see today and whether it's duplicative, et cetera. That is not a conversation that's being had in this context, nor is it a conversation that I think Democrats would engage in under Trump at all. But there are serious people on both sides of the aisle who want to have that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, again, it created, as you said a moment ago, in the aftermath of 9/11
Right.
and intelligence agencies not communicating with each other, whether they are still not communicating well with each other and whether that firewall still exists, and the necessity to have an office to coordinate all that information. Is that still necessary? A debate that is out there. Again, as you said, a debate that is not being had here. David.